We'll get to that after a quick word from FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action. FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action, so why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburnt at the beach. If you're new to FanDuel, well, we have a brand new offer for new customers. New customers can bet $5. If that $5 bet wins, they get $150 in bonus bets. Open up the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to get started. Bullet, there hasn't been a no-hitter in Cleveland since Len Barker. Last night, we were 2 outs away from witnessing history. Gavin Williams got through 8 1/3 innings of no-hit baseball before Juan Soto hit the home run, which, by the way, I thought Angel Martínez was going to catch that. For whatever reason, I felt good as that left the bat. He was tracking it.
That black wall behind center field makes it a little misleading as to where, like, at first you thought it hit the wall because that black wall that's behind the home run fence is so close that it makes it sometimes look like a guy might be able to catch the ball or it didn't go out of the park, and it did. A couple of things. First of all, if 4 of the 6 people in this room, Steve and I are the only exceptions, have not been alive for an Indians no-hitter / Guardians. Len Barker, you mentioned, pitched the last no-hitter in franchise history.
Was that the 80s?
81. Yeah. 1981. I remember, I didn't watch it because, I had 4 channels at my house. But I remember that story. I remember that being a big deal because it was, no-hitters seemed like a bigger deal when I was a kid. And he pitched a perfect game, Len Barker. So
is that 3 up, 3 down for
27 outs, man. No one gets on base.
That's right. No walks, no errors, no hit by pitch, no catcher's interference.
How many of that? When was the last time somebody did that?
Pitched a perfect game?
Yeah.
Oh, it happens.
It happens. It's not often. There's only been like 14
not every
or
year.
16.
Not every year.
Yeah, very rare. Perfect game is very rare. I can't remember the last one. I know it's happened I can't remember. When was the last perfect game, Mike, in baseball?
The most recent perfect game in baseball?
I think there's only been like 16 or something like that in the history of the game.
There's been more. I feel like there's more than that.
3 up, 3
Maybe
down.
a few more.
Domingo Germán of the Yankees in 2023.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. So
How many have there
that was
been
2
total?
years ago.
16, 18, 20, something like that. I mean, not many more.
There's got to be more than that.
No.
24.
All right, a few more.
Sheesh.
24 perfect games. No hitters is a lot more.
And a no-hitter, you can walk somebody.
You can walk.
Yeah.
It can be a million. There
Whatever.
was once look this up, Mike.
You can give up runs.
I remember there was a guy named Joe Cowley.
Sack flies?
You could lose a game. You could pitch a perfect game and lose.
Yeah.
Joe Cowley, I believe at the time, he played
pitch
for
a
the
no-hitter
Yankees,
and lose.
But I'm sorry,
can't
no
pitch a
hitter.
perfect
Yes, not a
game and
perfect game. Joe Cowley, who was, I believe, on the White Sox at the time, pitched a no-hitter in which I want to say he walked 8 batters. And he must have thrown like 150. In those days, nobody cared.
Not all no-hitters are the same.
No. If you could find that, Joe Cowley no-hitter. I know he walked a bunch of guys. I don't know if it was 8.
Did he lose the game?
I think he did.
I
believe
believe
he did.
sorry. He walked 8 batters.
I wouldn't even want the no-hitter at that point.
I mean, if they walked home, like, why would you,
He still didn't give up any hits.
I just
Ken
don't.
Johnson in 1964
Yeah.
pitched a 9-inning no-hitter against the Reds and still lost 1-0. They scored their 1 run in the 9th with 2 outs on multiple Houston errors.
Oh, wow. You couldn't find the Joe Cowley?
I only have one Twitter search at a time, and I can use one hand. I'm working on it. How do you spell Cowley?
Cowley. Hold on. Joe Cowley. Unless I'm totally making this up, I'm pretty sure. He pitched for the Yankees too, Mike. But I think he did it for the White Sox.
Joe Cowley in 1986 set the then Major League record for striking out the most consecutive batters to start a game when he struck out the first 7 Texas Rangers he faced. And then in September of that year, he pitched a 7-1 no-hitter against the Angels.
Yeah.
The no-hitter is memorable because
All right, so I was right about the
Cowley
no-hitter.
threw as many balls as he did strikes. He walked 7 batters.
I missed it by 1.
Yeah, loser. Can't even get that right. But
Yeah.
Gavin Williams, Bull.
But Gavin Williams,
not only last night was he incredible, but he's been very, very, very good. Kind of
Well,
developing
Can you
into
get to
the
this
ace
tease?
who's
You gave me a
promised.
great tease in the open of the show, and
Yeah.
I've actually been sitting here wanting to hear why you
okay,
said this
so
was such
first
a big
of all,
moment.
in the last 3 months, Gavin Williams has only given up more than 3 runs in a game one time. And even in that game, he gave up 4. So he's been very good. And in his last 4 starts, he's given up a total of 4 runs. He's been great. And it's been under the radar a little bit. I don't know why. I feel like we're talking about all the other pitchers. But Gavin Williams has been pitching like an ace. Yeah, see, since July 1st, a 106 whip. The ERA, 11 runs in 44 innings, is about a 2.15 ERA.
Pretty good.
Right? The walk's still a little high. I don't love it. But what I saw yesterday that really, and I've been saying this for a while about really both Bybee and Williams, and we were just talking about it a little bit yesterday. Sometimes with young pitchers that have great stuff, and Gavin Williams has great stuff, they're so obsessed with striking batters out that it gets them in trouble. It gets them in trouble because they tinker with pitches too much, sometimes within the game, and sometimes they nibble. When I mean nibble is instead of trusting your stuff and throwing strikes, they're trying to just hit that bottom tiny, tiny corner of the strike zone. And so you end up missing, and that's how you end up walking too many batters. And thus, you throw too many pitches, and you can't pitch deep into the game. But we've been seeing Gavin Williams of late be able to go a little deeper than he had. His last month, he's gone deeper. And yesterday, even with the early walks, he was efficient. He had his best performance. He dominated. But look at the strikeouts. Only 6. I don't need you to strike out 12 every game. He's going to have games where he strikes out 8 and 10 and 12, and that's great. But sometimes you've got to trust your defense, and you got to trust your stuff. And I know the Guardians were playing sloppy defense earlier this year, but generally, they're a good defensive club. And he trusted himself yesterday with the way he threw the ball, and he was efficient, and that allowed him to get through innings. Now, they let him throw 126 pitches, which they normally wouldn't. But still, he didn't go into the hundreds until the 8th inning. And I'll give the Guardians credit because they're so obsessed with analytics. And I love analytics, but to the point where, like, I thought they were going to pull him out after the 7th inning. And then I thought they'd pull him out after the 8th inning because, his pitch count. Because usually they never let you go that far. Mm-hmm. I was a little surprised they didn't have somebody warming up in the 9th, so he didn't have to face an additional batter after Soto. He faced two batters actually after Soto. But the fact that he was efficient, to me, was a massive turning point potentially in his career. And it was a start where, again, even though there were a few walks, he clearly was trusting himself. He wasn't tinkering as he does a lot, and he was trusting his defense. And when a pitcher with that talent starts reaching that point of trusting his talent and trusting his teammates, that's when it usually all comes together.
And Adam, you said this a little bit, but to me the most impressive thing is like it's not a crappy team he was pitching against.
That's
it's a great lineup.
Yeah,
it's not the White Sox.
The top of their lineup.
It's not the White Sox, dude. You got Soto, you got Alonso, Lindor's in there. Good batters.
Do you think after Shane Bieber got traded, do you think that organization said, all right, our bona fide ace is gone, so now you two got to figure it out now?
I doubt they said anything like that, as an organization.
But do you think psychologically they knew that?
I think it's possible that that guys are thinking, hey, now it's my turn to be the new ace of this team. And I think Gavin Williams is finding his way into that spot.
And
if I need to win a game right now, I'm starting Gavin Williams. I'm the Guardians.
And with his agent, the chances of the Guardians re-signing him is slim to none.
Probably at this point.
How many years left he has with us? Before they have to trade him.
Enough for him to be awesome and then us get excited and lose him.
Yeah, I think he's got 4 years till he's a free agent, maybe 5. I can't remember now. So we don't have to worry about trading him for
He'll probably win 2 Cy Youngs and we'll watch him play.
About Gavin Williams?
Yeah.
Next year's pre-arbitration.
Is what?
Pre-arbitration.
Yeah, so that means he'll got at least 4 years left.
In the Dodgers uniforms.
No, they're about to bring salary caps here.
This will be the last chance they have to sign him. But they just signed Bybee last year.
Yeah.
You feel like at the moment they signed the wrong of the 2 guys. But I still think Bybee will be fine. But obviously Gavin Williams has been much better. It was a great performance. And it was honest. Listen, that was a great series. To sweep
the Mets on the road.
Yeah, and kudos.
6 games out, 1.5 out of the wild card. I was like, man, just a week ago, I was like, it's dead, it's over. And now I'm like, and
they're very much alive right now.
They got to play them, 6 times? The Tigers 6 more times, right?
Even with all the criticism, well-deserved for the Guardians, they once again are playing well. They're only, I believe, a game and a half out of the wild card. I think they're tied with Texas, a game and a half behind the Yankees for the last wild card spot.
I thought your prediction was going to come true.
What's that?
That the Yankees ain't going to make the postseason.
That still might happen.
Well, hey.
People were calling me crazy in April when I made that bold prediction. I'm standing by it. They got obviously a favorable schedule.
Marlins have been tough, though, man.
Marlins have been good, but those other 3 teams stink right now.
Didn't the Marlins sweep the Yankees?
They did. First time ever.
I don't think it was ever.
It was.
First time they ever swept them in a 3. They might have won a 2-game series, but first time the Marlins ever swept the Yankees in a 3 or more game series. This past week, the Yankees did win yesterday, unfortunately, but it was a really great series. David Fry actually hit a home run, did something. Again, Manzardo was on the bench, which is once again a joke. C.J. Kafis had 2 hits, so he made a nice catch. He's looked good, and I mean he's only played 3 games, I think, but so far so good.
Do you think he ever going to get put back down to minors, sent back to the minors?
I mean, if 3 weeks from now he's batting like 150.
No, I'm just saying, what if he stays like kind of where he's at right now?
Where he's just been pretty good so far? Yeah, I think he stays the rest of the year. On September 1st, the rosters expand from 26 to 28 players also.
So that opens up another spot.
That opens up 2 more spots for players.
And C.J. Chase DeLauder is out for 6 weeks.
He's hurt.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to play this year. Bazana's been real good.
So that means Big Christmas coming back in September is what you're telling me.
A lot of times they bring up a third catcher.
No.
And they'll bring up one more pitcher. But
who would be the third catcher they call up? Because it was Fry last year.
Yeah, I can't think of who's catching for them in Columbus. Don't they have a veteran there in Columbus?
I'll look it up. Hold on.
A lot of teams will have a veteran catcher
Juan
in AAA.
Brito?
I think he's hurt too, or maybe he just came back.
What's going on?
They've had a lot of injuries. Bazana was hurt. He just came back. He's been.
Dom Nunez.
Dom Nunez is they might call up him and another relief pitcher.
They should call up George Valera too.
He's probably
they might
too.
At some point. They'd have to get him on the 40-man roster, but I'm not sure their 40-man roster is full. So anyway, that's the story. There. It was a really good series. They're obviously playing a lot better, and you got 58 games or something. What do they got left?
They are
What's their
on
record
the
now?
season. They are 59 and 55.
So that's 114. So they got 48 games left.
48 games left. They're 6 games back of Detroit. They've cut that from 15 and a half down to 6 in the last month and a half. They're 19 and 7 in their last 26 games. Bull, I wanted to ask you one question before we move on here. But if you look at the Guardians' upcoming schedule, you mentioned the teams they're playing, the White Sox, the Marlins, the Braves, the Diamondbacks. Then it gets a little tougher. But this next 13-game stretch for them, Chicago, Miami, Atlanta, Arizona, it's a lot of winnable games on the schedule before it turns and gets much more difficult for a little bit with the likes of Seattle, Texas, Tampa Bay, Boston, all in a row. Then you finish the season with 6 games against Detroit in your final 10. Is this next 13-game stretch?
That's going to be crazy. I didn't realize they were playing 6 against Detroit in the final 10.
So it goes Detroit, then they play 4 with Minnesota, then it's 3 with Detroit, and then they finish with 3 with Texas.
They're probably going to have
2 of their final 4 series.
My guess is they're going to have to win at least 4, probably 5 of the 6 if they want to have any chance of winning that division against the Tigers.
Before we get there, though,
sure.
This next 13-game stretch, Chicago, Miami, Atlanta, Arizona.
Who are they playing the 4-game series against of those teams?
3 Chicago, 3 – 12. I don't know why I said 13.
Okay.
My apologies. 12 games, Chicago, Miami, Atlanta, Arizona, 3-3-3-3-3. How many think they have to win before? Just like, how important is that stretch then? Let me ask you that
it's big because that next stretch, that's going to be very tough because you're playing all really
Texas,
good teams.
Tampa, Seattle, Boston, Tampa.
Yeah, I mean,
consecutive
Boston's
series.
playing as well as anybody. Seattle's playing great. Tampa's not been great, but they're still a decent team. That's going to be very tough. I think they got to go 8-4, 9-3 in these next 12. There's no reason they can't do it. The Braves stink. The White Sox stink. The Diamondbacks are a mess. Their bullpen's a total disaster. The Marlins are playing well. I don't think they're a very good team, but I give them credit. They're playing extremely well. So yeah, I mean, go at least 8-4 in that stretch, and I think you're all right. But it'll be fascinating to see how they do after that against those good teams, because they haven't played a lot of good teams during the stretch where they've been playing great. However, the two good teams they have played during this stretch, the Astros and the Mets, they won all 6 games. So
it's a good point.
Yeah.
Good point.